Yeah, Susie, I mean, I just love like everything that you've been sharing so far. And I think one thing that really stood out to me with what you said just now was the importance of, women coming together. I know you said families, but I just want to focus on the
Yeah.
women aspect. Because I know, again, as African women, that cultural context, 'cause that's something that I want to really drive home. You mentioned something about like this weird secrecy, like, oh, I can't tell anyone about what I'm going through. They're gonna think that
Yeah.
I'm weak, or they're gonna start gossiping and, telling people or laughing at me, which is a very unfortunate way of thinking that some people, in our community, they behave that way. I don't know why they do that. But I love the fact that despite that, the women that you've worked with and the families that you've worked with, despite the potential fear of maybe someone might take their story and make something out of it, they still felt you, and they also felt strong enough, and
Mm.
what, let me share my story,
Yeah.
because through sharing that story, I believe that's probably part of the reason why you've had so many successful women and families who came through your foundation and your
Mm.
program, that of course now are building their families and everything else like that. So if you can maybe share a little bit, um, just kind of briefly touch on why you think this element of secrecy, because I know you mentioned it earlier too, like not even wanting to post certain things online just because you don't want someone, your village people, to see you or to know your progress, enemies of progress, all these other cultural things. But can you, I guess, for our viewers who are maybe not directly from the African, continent, because we do have some people who are listening who are not necessarily from, our background. So can you talk briefly about this notion of the village people, enemies of progress, and why there's this level of secrecy? And then after you talk about that, if you can just maybe tell us about some success stories that you had through your foundation.
Okay. Yeah. So, when it comes to African culture, the procreation is a big deal. It's like it's the life wire of who we are as a community, as everything. And the cultural expectations are really deep because they expect you to have children, and if that doesn't happen, then you fall into the window of stigma around it, and women bear that the most. So it makes it difficult for couples to talk about their struggles because they don't want people to put them in that box. They don't want people to harass them openly because people can actually harass you openly in parties. I have heard cases where a woman would go for a child dedication, and when maybe they're asked to give an advice and this woman gives an advice, they ask you, why are you giving an advice? Do you even have children? Can this womb even bear children? Why would you give an advice? What are you even doing in a child dedication ceremony in the first place? So these things are open struggles that women go through. Even men, I think men probably go through silent ones, you know. So the foundation, the Marinade Hub thing that we started was more like providing that platform to say, look, you are not alone. You are not doing this on your own. We are not leaving you on your own, and you are safe to talk about your journey here. So we made sure that they felt safe, and they felt that they are protected. It's a private group. We set the structure where before you even join the group, you have a few questions, and some of us are natural FBI. For me, I'm a natural FBI. I like to dig into people and check who they are, what they're doing. So before you are even accepted into that group, I do a little bit of digging to make sure that you're not coming in there to do what we don't allow. So we made sure that we did that in the initial timing we started, and people start to gain trust, and start to share their experience. And from sharing their experiences, it helped us to navigate the group, to bring in we brought in guests. We had live sessions where we brought in guests to come and talk to them. But if we didn't know what they were going through, it would be difficult to just bring in guests. So we brought in guests like who came and talked about surrogacy, talked about adoption, talked about IVF, doctors. We've had doctors come to us, do live session, deal with questions live, and that was really helpful. So far, we have had over 20, 25 children, babies that I can, like, that I'm aware of. You know how this thing works. So there are still silent people in the group who wouldn't tell you what's going on with them and what has changed. They wouldn't. But there are also like members who are who will I say understands the vision and who are engaging very well with the vision of the Marinade Hub. So they come to us, they share their story personally, and they keep us updated with what they're going through and what steps that they're taking. And if there are any positive, they share. If there are any negative, they share. So what we did, I found that was super helpful for the group was last year. I felt that we needed to create WhatsApp groups that are specific to different needs. That way, we are able to reach out to those people on a one-to-one, a bit more one-to-one level than a Facebook group. So we created the IVF support group. We created the pregnancy group when we started having pregnancy news. We created the prayer group and the fitness club. So these specific groups, people join them and we are much more closer. So when someone is going for an IVF, sort of, we kind of know and we know their cycle, the procedure and things, and others can support them. So yeah, we've had positive news, like 25 babies that I can think of, and even more counting. And some of these pregnancies came through some of the events that we had. This sounds very lame too. If you're a medical doctor, let's be like, how can a pregnancy actually come through an event? Anyway, it does happen. So some of the events that we had with the members were pregnancy challenge. So we watched a video by Wari Pikin, he's a comedian in Nigeria, some time ago. She shared about doing a pregnancy challenge if you're trying to conceive. So we felt that we should do that, and we introduced it to the hub. We've done it like 3 times now. I think four seasons. We've had it 2 last year and 1 this year. So we would ask our members to stuff their tummy with things and like pregnant and dance and post a video. Did you know that, this whole stigma and sharing things openly that we're talking about? Did you know we had, I think, over 40 entries? I think more than 40 entries of those videos.
Oh,
People genuinely doing that and doing dancing and sending it to us. It was I can't explain the feeling of that event. It was magical. I think that's the right word. It was magical because they did it with obedience, like not thinking about what anyone is saying, with all their heart. And
mm,
Nigerians pray a lot, so they were praying about it. They were dancing and prophesying into themselves. Did you know that after the first season of that pregnancy challenge, we had pregnancies all over the
wow.
place? We had massive everywhere. I could count so many people testing me. I'm pregnant since I did the pregnancy challenge. I'm pregnant since I did the pregnancy. I just kept
Mm,
hearing that. So we have had a lot of people saying that their emotional stability is better now.
right.
That so I know a few people who have come when they came to the hub, they were shattered. They've done like 7 IUIs, IVFs, and they were
Mm-hmm.
tired. They've just had enough. I've had people who have lost children. They have conceived, tried to conceive, then lost the children that they finally conceived in the process. I've had very critical cases that would make you shed a tear or tears. And one of the things that they tell me is since they joined the Marinade Hub, that they are feeling lighter and that their emotions are much managed better. And they just know that there's a place where they can go and talk to people. So this was the whole idea of starting the support group. It wasn't even for anything else. It was just the whole thing about emotional stability. And if you look into, I didn't even tell you what Marinade Hub means. Marinade is just you all eat meat, you all eat fish and things like that. Before you cook them, you have to marinate them with oil, with spices, just for them to have good
Mm,
taste when you cook them. So I felt that word, I heard that word like that. Women and men need preparation before they can conceive. We want to prepare them emotionally. We want to prepare them with information because a lot of average Africans or Nigerians don't even know their ovulation period and
Mm.
cycle. They don't know how to calculate them. They don't know how to calculate their menstrual cycle. Yeah, they've been trying to conceive for 3 years, for 2 years. So these are basic education that we can teach them, So we wanted to marinate them with information, with love and care,
Mm.
protect them from whatever that is happening in the society, create a safe space for them so that they can feel warm. And I mean, even science has seen that once someone is happy and everything is okay and they're in a good environment, atmosphere is everything, their hormones can respond and they can start to
Right.
conceive. It's very
Right.
possible. And I think that's what's, happening in most of the um, um, testimonies that we've heard at the hub.
Yeah, I love that.